This is Don Clark with FileMakerProGurus.com and FM Database Consulting, and today we're at DevCon 2016, FileMaker DevCon, at the Cosmo in Las Vegas. Yeah, and we're interviewing today with Michael Rocharde, and michaelrocharde.com is the name of your website. What's the name of your business, Michael?
Well, I have several.
Tell me about it.
I have a business called Business Accelerators.
Okay.
We provide consulting services for businesses and much more than just developing FileMaker solutions for them. And then I have a business called Ad Minimum, which is producing software that reduces their administration to a minimum so they can operate instead of administrating. Because that's the fundamental problem with 90% of businesses. They spend 40% or more time administering, and they should be spending 10% of their time administering and the rest of it operating.
Okay.
And then I have a documentary film company that I've just started called Giving Voice.
Just in case you didn't have enough to do?
Yeah. And I've got 3 books in progress. Yeah, I have no time. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Well, you got to have a life sometime.
That's true.
So tell me about the production. What'd you call it? The design company?
It's called Giving Voice.
Giving Voice.
And
okay.
It started off as a podcast, and I have a business partner in Denver, and he's really into podcasting, and he started a podcast called Agile and Beyond about dealing with Agile, which is a methodology for managing projects. It used to be software, but now it's really
beyond that.
Way beyond that. And he's been interviewing a lot of very interesting people in the Agile community, movers and shakers, thought leaders. And some of those conversations, the interviews, we've been listening to them going, this is fascinating stuff. We need to make this as documentaries and not just podcasts. And so we've invested in equipment, and we're going to start recording these conversations. And the interesting thing is that in a conversation interview between 2 people or a small group, you every so often get a soundbite that is just pure gold. You go, wow. So the idea is to take those sound bites and then play that to a panel of industry experts, and then have the discussion go from that sound bite and see where it takes us.
Okay.
And so that's that's one part of it. And then just seeing where where those ideas will go, and it's really in terms of finding new ways for businesses to operate and coming up with new strategies, because the world of business has changed dramatically, and it's non-stop, and and so often there are smart people with great ideas that never get a chance to voice those ideas or opinions, and they just get lost. And if you can produce something that people who run businesses and own businesses will watch and be fascinated and intrigued by, and then hopefully you'll get to a point where they may say, that's a really good idea, we should implement that.
And you have a good channel to get to more people and increase your audience for that reason, because what happens is, if you keep it short, these little ideas, which is what you're doing, you're breaking them off into little chunks of ideas, and then you can lay them out there to somebody, and if they have a particular interest in a particular subject, you can find it on the internet, or you get it to them some other way, then boom, then all of a sudden they realize there's a whole library of stuff right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a good thing.
So it's really interesting. I mean, this is obviously a big divergence from the FileMaker stuff. But
I was just about to bring us back into FileMaker, because you were telling me, we had dinner last night, where you were telling me that you had a pretty fascinating project with in the Denver area.
Yeah, and I can't talk about that one.
You can't talk about that one, okay. All right.
That was for private consumption.
Okay.
But developing a business where we can take a solution that has been designed for a specific industry, a niche product, and market that vertically. Now, there are lots of people who develop solutions that you can market vertically. Problem is, they don't have any idea how to do it. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the vision. They just don't know how to do it. And so, part of what the Business Accelerator company is going to do is to take FileMaker solutions primarily and market them vertically using a very sophisticated marketing tool to get the word out and generate passive income for people.
Residual income.
Residual income, so that every single month you know that if I don't do anything, I've got $5,000 coming in.
Not a bad idea.
And, you know, and I think that that's eminently possible. I mean, I know it's eminently possible.
Can you share some of that with us, or is that,
Well,
what portions of it can you share? I mean, there's got to be some.
Well, let's go back.
Some broad strokes that you.
Let's go back to the late 90s when I developed ISP billing software, which was one of the first commercial FileMaker solutions. Now, at that time, there were 16,000 ISPs worldwide. There were 4,000 approximately in the US. And I got 5% of that market without any marketing or advertising support. It was all by word of mouth. Now, that generated hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in income. Now, just imagine what I could have done if I'd had a marketing arm behind me and a way to promote that product. I could have ended up with 20, 30, 40% of the market.
Which would have been pretty substantial.
It would have been in the millions of dollars. And nowadays, the market, there is such a huge market for FileMaker solutions. Because it's, you know, it's an effective tool, it works really well, you've got nice interfaces, so people like to use them. And what we're intending to do is within the next 12 months or so to have maybe 10 vertical solutions that we're constantly marketing and building business to. We've set up some very powerful strategic partnerships to help us do this, where everybody wins. And we're going to create a monster. We are literally going to create.
Generally,
a
the
monster.
people don't take that as a positive, but
no, but
I think what you mean is, yeah, it's going to
be a monster that is going to be a cash cow that's going to generate unbelievable amounts of income. And you know, I've obviously got half a dozen solutions that I've already developed that I'm marketing and making good money from them. And I'm looking to find other developers.
There's a lot of developers out there with good ideas.
Yeah, great ideas, and you can't manage it, you can't market it. Let us do it for you. Make you wealthy.
And that's fine with most of these developers because they have no marketing skills and no desire to learn any marketing skills. They won't even market themselves.
That's true.
And I understand that. There's a certain personality type that goes along, generally speaking, with being a geek. It doesn't include going on film, or on video. It's not even being talkative when you're in a group of people, as a rule. So I was reading a blog post, and I won't share who it was by, but it was interesting. First day at DevCon, and he said I had to go back to the room and recharge my batteries because I'm an introvert, and that's important. So I did that. And I'm going, that's typical of a developer, a geek. You know, an introvert of an introvert, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's
personality.
It's a personality type, and that's what a lot of these guys are doing, and a lot of these gals. Come from the same spot, and to get them out of that shell is virtually impossible. So if you offer a service for them, they got a way to make some money and don't have to get outside that shell as far.
That's exactly right. You know, and the other thing that my whole philosophy is that business should always be a win-win situation. Everybody wins. You know, if you get paid, you win. If the customer gets something that they need that will help them do their business better and make more money, they win.
Yes,
they save money, they save time, they become more effective. And in business, it's not, the measure of a business success is not about how much money, how much volume it does, it's how much the owners retain at the end of it. So if you take, you know, a business where their net profit is 10%, which is, you know, probably fairly reasonable. And you can say, okay, so if I can take your net 10% and get it to net 20 without you doing anything different other than using something that's designed to operate your business efficiently, the value to that business is incredible. But the truth of the matter is that you'll do that, but you will also increase the business. So not only are you increasing your net retention, you're increasing the volume. You know, the conveyor company that I talked about last time, you know, went from $1.2 million a year in sales to 3.6. Literally the moment they turned the on switch for their solution.
That much of an increase in productivity and fewer errors.
Fewer errors and, you know, and the ability to respond to customers so quickly that the customers basically didn't even think about it. It was like, oh, okay, let's just do it. Done. So when you take that sort of productivity gain and put it in a company's thing, I mean, the impact that you're having is beyond comprehension. And I don't think people realize, you know, you and I, we have more realization than a lot of people, but we're talking about the geeks. They don't realize the impact they're having on the company because they're just coding and they're not thinking
That's where they're
anything
comfortable.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that. I was there at that point. At some point, I had to move past it. I had to force myself out of that shell. So.
Well, I'm by nature an introvert. I'm just a very extrovert introvert.
Yeah, you're the upbringing of extrovert for an introvert. So yes, but that's a common thing, and you'll see it around here when you walk the halls with these people. You know, all walk up to a elevator, and they all don't talk.
Yeah.
Unless they know the other person.
Yeah.
You may not talk to them. And if you introduce yourself, they'll start to talk. It's okay. I did that on my way back and introduced myself and talked to a guy. But then we all got in the elevator and everybody shut up.
Yeah, it's funny, you know. And when I'm traveling, I always make a point of trying to talk to strike up a conversation with the person I'm sitting next to, or waiting at the airport lounge or whatever. Just because it's more interesting to have somebody to talk to than just sitting in your own thing. But what I find interesting and fascinating is the people you actually run into and the stories you hear, and I've had some incredible conversations with the most fascinating people. And
storytelling's
it really is.
It's a big thing, and most people don't realize the value nor how much there is out there.
Yeah.
They don't think of their life as a story or their experiences as a story, so they don't relate them.
Yeah.
But if they do, they can find some connection between themselves and another person.
Sure.
You know, the thing you should be asking when you talk to another person is just a simple thing. What are your interests?
Yeah.
What do you like to do? You know, are you married? Do you have kids? You know, you can usually, after 5 or 6 questions, find an area where you have something similar with most people.
And I think
then build on that.
And it's about having a genuine interest in other people, and not just looking for, oh, could this person be of any use to me? You know, because if you just go through life, you know, trying to make the right connections, it's unfulfilling. I mean, I like to just talk to people. I like to connect people. If I run into somebody who I think could be a good contact for somebody else, I put the two of them together. And I've done that all my life, and I've
that comes back to help you.
Yeah, and I've never done it for the thought of any reward. I've just done it because, hey, I can. And because of those connections, the number of connections that I've got who I can call on to, you know, if I need advice or help with a particular thing, is just staggering.
Yeah, pick up the phone and you got somebody that feels good about you.
But here's an interesting subject, Don, and I made a video about this, but this is an interesting thing. Most people fail miserably at marketing themselves. You know that. And one of the reasons is they might carry a business card, but they often don't. And their business card is so badly designed it doesn't work for them.
There's that too.
And so, you know, on my business card, it's got my photograph on it. Now, that's not egocentric or anything like that. The reason is very simple. If I meet somebody in a group, talk to people in a group, they're not going to remember my name. 90% of the time, they're not.
Yeah, they're going to meet too many people.
They're going to meet too many people. But if they have a card with my photograph on it, they're going to remember my face. And if they remember my face, they're going to remember what we talked about.
And
so now it's like, oh, yeah, I met this guy in the coffee shop in Vegas, and we had a fascinating conversation. And I could use his expertise.
Not only that, but you also have the fact that you put your card there, your picture on your card, you put your picture on your website. On my website, it's on every blog post.
Yeah.
It's on Twitter, it's on, I have a gravatar, so it's everywhere. And then I walk up to people here and I introduce myself. Oh, I know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mission accomplished.
This
I'm
is
trying to
this
get
is-
my name out there, and not just in the community, but also,
It's marketing and
when somebody
branding.
says FileMaker, or they start looking up FileMaker, they're going to come across my picture fairly
Yeah.
easily, it seems like.
Sure.
Because I blog on every subject there is on FileMaker. If there's a plugin, if there's a technique or whatever, I'm curating it or writing about it. So that helps.
Yeah.
But that's not their goal necessarily. So
But it
the
should
thing is,
be.
their goal is not aligned with what they want to get out of life.
Well, look, if
So-
we're all in business,
Mhm.
and you never know who the person you sat next to at the coffee shop is. I mean, it could be your next door neighbor's cousin. It could be a billionaire or the
It could be
chairman
Howard
of a
Hughes that you help with a flat tire on the
chairman of a
dirt,
Fortune 500 corporation who can give
Yeah.
you $1 million worth of business,
Mhm.
and doesn't because you didn't have a damn card to give to him.
Or you read instead of reaching out and talking to
Yeah.
somebody. So yeah, these are all great nuggets of business advice that, if you spend any time on Success Magazine or, there's all these different places out there that do coaching for business and discuss all these things. And there's a lot of great advice out there, but most people don't go to it.
Yeah.
And I read too much of these things. I suffer from the other thing, which is there are so many people and so many things out there, and everybody's writing their headlines the same way. The 7 best ways to do blah, and 18 reasons why you shouldn't do this, and so on and so on. It just goes on and on. After a while, you get tired. It's clickbait.
Yeah.
What you feel like, and so it's just. I have to read another one of these, which is regurgitated from the 74 I read before that. But I think that has the opposite effect. People are trying to get out there. Everybody's doing it, and that's what causes problems. So let's take a break right now.
Sounds great.
Okay. Well, we're back at with Michael Rocharde of michaelrocharde.com, and that's the name of your business too, right?
Yep.
And this is we got separated by a day since the last filming session because we got interrupted. So here we are at
I've got a clean shirt on.
I got a same shirt on. FileMaker DevCon 2016 at the Cosmo. And today, at this portion, I think what we're going to talk about is content.
Okay.
Content on your website, content on my website, content on a lot of other websites out there that's available to everybody out there that doesn't seem to get used as much as it possibly could.
Yes, it's really funny. There's a myopia, and I know we're all busy. I mean, everybody's busy, and it's easy to say, "Oh gosh, I'm not interested in that," or "I don't have time to look at that." But the truth of the matter is that the content that's published, if you're in business for yourself, the content I publish and you publish it, if you're in business for yourself as a developer, it will help you get more clients. It'll help you convert those clients who are on the fence. And, so I just released I think it was 5-minute video talking about why FileMaker is a great solution for any business.
Great marketing material.
Great marketing material. Now, if you are talking to a client who's interested in having you develop a solution, and they go, "Well, I'm not sure about FileMaker," you say, "Oh, it's an interesting point. Take a look at this 4-minute video that talks about some of the advantages and why you should be considering FileMaker." That video will sell that client for you. And it's free, you can use it, whatever. You don't have to play it to the end and see my contact information. You can stop just there. And you can say, "Use Michael Rocharde, he's been a FileMaker developer for 30 years. He put it together, but this is why you should use FileMaker."
And if you don't want to do that, listen to it, study it, write down
Yeah.
the key points and put them into your sales presentation.
That's exactly right.
Do you have a sales presentation?
Well, that's another thing. And when people ask me what I do for a living,
Mhm.
I tell people that I'm a transformational software developer. I never mention FileMaker in the beginning, and it's not because I'm not proud of FileMaker. I think it's an amazing tool, but I don't want to have to explain or justify what FileMaker is to somebody who doesn't know about it or who has looked at it 20 years ago when it wasn't very powerful and has preconceived notions and thinks it's not powerful enough or suitable
Oh, yeah.
enough. So what do you use? I use the best possible tool for your business. Well, why is that? Because I can develop a solution 5 times faster than in any other platform you can think of and deploy it at a lower cost in a quicker time. That's what I use.
Nice 30-second elevator speech.
Yeah, and now you get into, at some point you may get into, well, what actually is it? It's FileMaker. Oh, really?
FileMaker doesn't work on PCs.
Yeah, and you said, well, it has done since 1999 or whatever, 97 I think it was.
Yeah.
So, but by the time we get to that discussion, it's really irrelevant.
You've already cemented into their head the fact that you can do it faster and cheaper and with greater results.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm much more than a developer as you are. We're business people. We have a tool we use. We also understand marketing and networking and sales and branding. So we understand a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know that if there's a tool that you can use that will benefit you, use it. But I think, unfortunately, too many people in the developer community, they don't see themselves as being salespeople. They see themselves as being a coder, and that's all they see themselves. The truth of the matter is that all of us, we're all salespeople. We are selling every moment of the day. We sell our services, we sell our beliefs, we sell our values. I mean, you and I have just had a somewhat heated discussion about politics. But we're both selling what we do.
So our point of view.
And, I'm teaching a course on interviewing skills at Colorado University. And the first question I ask is, what is an interview? And people go, well, it's an interview. Yeah, but what is an interview? It's a sales process.
Yeah, a chance to sell yourself.
It's a sales process. Yeah. I'm either selling you
Mm-hmm.
that I'm the right person for your job, or you're selling me that I am not. It's a sales process.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go into that interview understanding that this is a sales process, as is every conversation you have, and it isn't about selling a product necessarily, it's about selling something of value. And there's nothing wrong with being a salesperson. If you're a salesperson who wants to sell people so that you rip them off and you make money, then that's not right. And and we all hate used car salesmen for that. But if you're selling something whereby you're giving value and it's a win-win proposition for both parties, and business needs to be a win-win. If you're selling that, then you can have the moral high ground. You don't have to worry, or don't have to be ashamed of what it is that you do. You are just coming from a point of integrity. It's like, for example, I've had people who said, "Can you build me a FileMaker solution for this?" And I go, "No, I really can't, because what you're looking for, FileMaker won't handle it.
Yeah,
it might, up to a point, but it's not the right solution for you. So in that particular case, you need MySQL or SQL or
Oracle or something like that.
Or what of that. But I can. But on the same time, if somebody says, "Well, we've been told we need SQL," and I go, "No, you don't. The people who tell you that want you to spend a ton of money, so
and time, and to come up with a pretty rigid solution that's
right,
web browser based and doesn't really meet your needs."
Exactly. So there's a question. There's a case of selling with integrity. Sell them the right solution. If it's not the right solution, give them some suggestions. And the other thing is, that we're often asked by clients who get excited about what they're seeing. Or, well, we want to do this, and you go, "No, I don't recommend that. And here's why I don't recommend that. But here's an alternative that might work for you." So now we can reach a point where we're actually keeping within the parameters and the boundaries of what FileMaker is really good at, and but we're sort of coming to a commonality. And so, but getting back to content, I put out a ton of stuff. I mean, I put out, I put out.
Oh yeah.
Something like, I've got 40 videos on my website.
And they're nice short videos,
yeah, they're all
crisp,
short,
clear to the point. They've got a message to do, an objective to achieve.
That's right, and they're anywhere from 1.5 to 3 minutes. And I spend a lot of time putting these together. I go into the studio, I record them professionally, so they're done on a green screen, and they look high quality, and they are high quality. And if you watch them, you will have an enormous amount of information and leverage and stuff in the back of your mind that will help you be more successful.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the FileMaker developers who see themselves as coders, I don't want to work for anybody else. I don't want to be at the whim of anybody else. I want to be my own boss. And in order to do that, if people want to do that, if they ultimately want to be their own boss,
Mm-hmm.
they've got to develop skills. They've got to stop being an introvert. They've got to learn how to be an extrovert.
Just, one of my points I was
Yeah,
going to bring
and
up.
one of the
Mm-hmm.
best ways to do that is take a public speaking course.
Mm-hmm.
Join Toastmasters. Because if you can get up in front of a group of people, 10, 20, 50 or 100, 500,
Mm-hmm.
and talk just as comfortably as you and I are discussing right now,
Mm-hmm.
you've automatically generated personal power and charisma. And that will help you
And made a lot of contacts.
Yeah, right. And that will also help you in the sales position when, you're talking from a position of confidence and strength. So that communication is really vital.
And there's plenty of help out there, all kinds of, how to talk with anybody, how to persuade people, how to
Yeah.
sell something. There's also a lot of business coaching that's available.
Sure.
There's one-on-one mentoring, there's group mentoring, there's all kinds of ways you can get
But
this done.
most of those cost considerable amounts of money. Whereas if you go to something like Toastmasters, it's a nominal
Not
fee.
even just for that, I'm talking about how to run a business.
Well, that's,
how to do your marketing, how to
Right.
improve your skills, how to, and one of the biggest things, and I've discussed this in my content at different times, is you have to work on your business, not just in your business.
Yeah.
If you're just a developer in-house developer for somebody, you still got some skills that you need to pick up to be able to sell what it is you want to get done. If you're going to make a recommendation, or if you're going to move up the ladder, in the organization, become a senior developer, a project manager developer, you're going to have to learn those skills that are necessary to promote what you want promoted.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to work on those. Now, if you're going to become a business person, you need to study a lot of different things.
You do.
There's no doubt about that. But you need to find out very early on that you have to work on your business. You work in it, you code, and that's what you do, and then you send them a bill.
Yeah.
And then you hope they pay it right on time, and then you try to pay your other bills out of it, but you're not going to do any marketing that way. You're not going to do any setting up, finding contracts and bidding on those contracts. You're not going to be able to set up systems so that you can train other developers and have those developers come up to speed and be able to work with you. You're not going to have project management skills. So how much time do you spend a month doing that, or a day, or a week?
Well,
What percentage should you shoot for?
I would
Those are the
say-
things they don't even think about.
No. I would say that in my business, I spend less than 40% of my time developing.
Mhm.
The rest of the time is marketing and promoting and networking and branding and running with ideas, because as an entrepreneur for 30 odd years, I don't understand the meaning of it's not possible, it can't be done, or it'll never work. I'm not interested in hearing that. If I have an idea for a business that I think will run, I'll start it. And I'll run it until I find out that it isn't a good idea, and at that point I'll drop it like a hot cake. But
Mhm.
I've always got multiple projects and multiple businesses that I'm involved with. And
But
finally-
you're a serial entrepreneur.
well, I am,
Yeah.
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 But
Most
I've
people don't fall
I've
into that
learned to
category.
be a serial entrepreneur.
Mhm.
I've developed over the years, or enhanced certain skills that I have naturally. We talked about, I'm by nature an introvert, but I became an extrovert because in order to win playing poker many, many years ago, I had to be very extrovert. And that is now a more natural
That was a
state.
strategy.
Strategy. And everything is about strategy.
Mhm.
It's about, here's one of the things that really strikes me as weird, and it's true. Anybody, has to be as comfortable talking to a billionaire
Mhm.
as you are talking to a close friend.
Mhm.
You have to be able to talk to that person with no intimidation factor. You have to be talked to them on equals. Now, what is a billionaire? I'm not a billionaire. People like Elon Musk is a billionaire. He's smarter than I am. He's richer than I am. But I wouldn't be intimidated by talking to him. I would be fascinated talking to him.
It'd be a wonderful conversation.
It'd be a wonderful conversation. He would be the one person that I would love to spend time with. But, so you have to develop that lack of intimidation, and you have to, one of the biggest problems in business of everybody is it's too easy to not listen intently to what people are saying, but to try and be thinking of what you're going to say next. You know, and one of my things that I'm worst at, and I've really worked hard to change this, is because my mind works in such a rapid rate, I often know where people are going long before they've got to the point of the conversation. So I would sort of jump in, and I've learned not to do that. I've trained myself.
Sometimes you can be wrong.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I've trained myself now to listen as intently as I can, to focus exactly on what the other person is saying, and then respond based on what they're saying rather than what I want to say. And because I've trained myself to do that, and it was really hard to do it.
I agree. That was hard for me too.
I'm better now, much better at communicating with clients, because they really feel that I'm really paying attention to them, as opposed to just having, you know, something that I want to put out there. And so that's a real skill, and everybody needs to learn that. So they need to learn how to communicate. They need to learn, how to sell. They also need to brand themselves and market themselves. Even if they're a coder working for a company, blog, post continuously. And don't think that what you're going to, the thing that you would write about, everybody knows that. Don't ever think that, because it may not be true. You may have had a completely original thought, and if you share it, if you blog it, so people will go, oh my God, I never thought of that.
Not only that, even the most experienced programmer may forget a technique, but they may not ever use it again.
Yeah.
Use it 2 times and then never have a need to, and then it kind of goes away, because if nothing, we have a lot of change in our lives.
Sure.
There's always new features, there's always new ways to do things, there's always new challenges. I know there's things I've forgotten to do, and then I'll go back and look at the code and say, that was a nice piece of code, I should have used that again.
Yeah.
So if I see somebody writing about something that, not only is it maybe that same technique or something similar, but it reminds me of something, it also makes you think. So if you get out there and do this stuff, if you have to put down on paper or a blog post, think out, how are you going to present this thing? I'm going to make an example file, and how I'm going to really give the steps for somebody to be able to reproduce this work. It clarifies the process, it clarifies your thinking, and you end up sometimes getting further than you would have without doing that.
And the thing is that the FileMaker Develop community has always been a very collaborative, cooperative.
Yes,
share ideas and help everybody else, and it's fabulous because of that, and I love that part of it, and I love to be part of doing that. But sometimes, somebody will say something to you and you go, wow, I wonder if I can take that and do this with it. And it starts the creative juices coming. And you're right about forgetting. I mean, have spoken fluent German, fluent Arabic, fairly fluent French, fairly fluent Spanish. But when I don't use them, I lose those languages. Now, if you and I are having a conversation and you're German and you don't speak English, it's going to come back really quickly, because my brain is going to say, you need to bring this to the forefront. But if I can get away with speaking in English to you, it isn't going to come back into my immediate memory cortex. It's just going to sit in the background. So we have to constantly reinforce and practice and be aware of things. And it's fantastic fun to be able to come up with a technique and explain it in a way that's easily understandable. And this is another thing about content. I see so many videos where the mouse is going across the screen, boom, 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 it's like this, and you go, what the hell are they doing? They've got a nervous twitch. So And I don't ever do that, because I move the mouse deliberately to one place and then I take my hand off it, so the video isn't the mouse distracting, moving around the screen. And also when I'm writing, I'm trying to write in a way that's easy to read and entertaining, and not hard, heavy duty stuff, because some of the stuff is so complex that it's like just sends you into sleep when you read it.
And they'll leave out a step or assume a step in there, which sometimes is okay. It depends on what the subject matter. But they don't, and I see that this is a common thing. It's not a horrible thing, but they don't prove it.
Yeah.
They kind of scratch it out, and maybe they make a change or two, and then they'll go back and look at it one last time. And by the way, on WordPress at least, there's wonderful grammar checkers that will at least make suggestions. And it's pretty interesting. I curate a lot of stuff. So I'll grab a paragraph or two and throw it in there, and then I'll get a bad score on when I do my check, because, well, you're using passive voice. And of course, the passive voice is going to be 9 times out of 10 in what I curated, what I quoted.
Sure.
And so it is, and some of this is from major organizations, the FileMaker.
Well, you'll laugh at this story. Many years ago, I was living in Las Vegas, and I was a member of a Toastmasters group called Bachelors and Bachelorettes, which was only for single. You got married, you got evicted from the group. And I was the grammarian one evening, which meant that I had to listen to all the speeches and all the evaluations, and then give a report at the end of it on good and bad uses of grammar. So it came to my turn to get up on the stage, and I looked at my watch very pointedly and says, "Well, due to lack of time tonight, I'm only going to correct errors in American grammar." but it is funny. It's a funny world.
Well, another thing, we can't go much longer on this. We've done pretty well. We've got another interview coming up here shortly. But another thing I do want to bring up is FileMaker itself is making a lot of gains and strides towards working more with the community.
Absolutely, and it's wonderful.
And it's wonderful, and I think I think you and I should both approach them to talk about improvements in content and sharing that content and promoting that content.
Yeah.
For example, your website has a lot of stuff that they could use. They should have a pointer back to it. They should tweet about it. And I think they are starting to do some of that stuff, by the way. So they should look at these. And I know some people at FileMaker Pro are doing this, where they will retweet some of the stuff I've put out. You know, if I tweet about it or put it in Facebook, something like that. And I never see it on Facebook, but I've seen the tweets. And that's a good thing for them to do, because that's the official voice of FileMaker. And so that points things back and forth. And they need to work with that with everybody, not just you and me.
Yeah,
obviously.
absolutely. Because there's a lot of stuff that really will help them, close more business, because ultimately their job is to sell lots of copies of FileMaker. And our job as developers is to make the most amount of money we can using this fantastic tool that they provide.
And that sells a lot of copies of licenses of FileMaker.
But we also have the knowledge from working in the real world that, I'm not saying they don't have it, but it's not their focus. So we've got some tools that they could actually use to make it easier for their sales reps and their field sales reps, area reps, to sell solutions and answer questions. If somebody says, "Well, why shouldn't I be using? Why do you want me to not use a spreadsheet?" Well, here's a little video that tells you the downsides of a spreadsheet. Here are 5 videos that show you actual comparisons side by side of doing the same thing in FileMaker and the same thing in Excel. Now, you watch those and you come to your own conclusion, and at the end of it, if they watch those, they'll come to the conclusion they shouldn't be using spreadsheets under any circumstances. So, that's a powerful sales tool, and I've done those, and they're all available, and people can use them, download them, use them as they want.
Yeah, I like spreadsheets for certain analysis types of things, but nothing for where there's a series of a lot of data. I mean, it just doesn't, not for running the business. If you want to pull stuff in and make an analysis of across data, and you don't have a database to do that kind of stuff, it's a nice tool. But to do invoicing on it, to keep a lot of extensive records on it, it's an analysis tool. It's not a database.
So, but there's a classic example you just brought up, Don, with the using as invoices. Now, if you're using it as an invoice, every single invoice is a separate spreadsheet. You have to have a complex hierarchical filing system where you sort by customer and then by year and then by month, and so it's complex. Now, if you're doing that and you're as a business owner and I say to you, Don, who's your best customer? You will know that without any shadow of a doubt because you're running a business, you know that. But if I said to you, Don, okay, so what percentage of your business does that customer represent? You go, I have no idea.
And what profit you get
And
off
what
of each one
profit
of
you,
them.
and what
Yeah.
products are they buying? And when are they buying them? And in what quantities are they buying
And when do
them?
they expire, if it's a license issue, and so on and so forth.
None of that information you can get from a spreadsheet. So
Yeah.
you have, unless you go into and start creating more spreadsheets. And now you're just creating more and more documents. And the other thing is that in a spreadsheet system, you're typing the same thing over and over again. In a database, you enter it once, it's assigned a primary key, and then you just select it. So not only are you not typing the same things over again, you've got consistent, accurate linkage from one thing to another. So you can use that to run any type of report that you want.
Exactly.
And, so those are just the simple fundamentals, and there are many more than that.
Well, this has been a great session.
Thank you.
By the way, Michael came all the way from Denver just so we could sit here and talk and do this on camera, and I really do appreciate that.
It was
I'm
nice
honored.
to do it.
And had a wonderful time doing it, and thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.